Okay, so we are holding by Perek, the fourth Perek of Pirke Avoth, Mishnah Yud Gimel 13, number 13. Rabbi Nehurai Omer, Rabbi Nehurai says, parenthetically, who's Rabbi Nehurai? Who's Rabbi Nehurai? Is Rabbi Meir. Nehurai is the Aramaic of Meir. He was like a sort of a, beloved name. It seems to me, we Jews, our language, our official language is Hebrew. That was the language of Avram Ivri. But our mother language is what? What did our mothers speak? Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. Their language was Aramaic. Yeah. So it's like our mother language. It's anytime is Lashon Chavivut, you revert back to the language that feels a little bit sweet to you and everything. That was a endearment term. Right? People wanted to call Rab Meir in an endearing term. They call it Rabbi Nehurai. Rabbi Nehurai. Meir means light. Nehurai, that's what it means in Aramaic. Good. So he says, "Ave golel lemakom Torah." Be ready to move to a place of Torah. Be ready to move. Right? You have options. You could go get a job, whatever. But that doesn't have. There is not the right number, the right type of community. There may not be the right type of schooling, etc. Or a less lucrative job offer, or a difficult situation where there is Torah. You should always remember that you need makom Torah. It's not enough for a person to be on his own. Look, I'm okay, I know what I need to do. He says, no, don't say Torah will follow. I'll be okay, I will this. No, don't say that. Because it's your chaverim, it's your society, your friends, those who socialize with, that will make it successful, that you will live a Torah life. Anybody that wants to truly be successful has to belong somewhere. You have to belong to a society. Yes, there are yechidei segula. There are those individuals who could do it alone. But believe me, they are such a small percentage. We can't even bring him up to the statistic and the possibilities. Rabbi Yashiv Zecher Tzedek Yiracha, he never had sort of a official yeshiva that he attended. He was very sick as a child. He was a very weak and sickly child. He wasn't expected to live long. He ended up living over or close to 110 years. But he was very, very weak. When he was born, he at a very young age, I don't know if he got typhus in the morning, something. At any rate, he was so weak, he never attended. By the age 18, he couldn't attend any school or any yeshiva or anything. He was all, his father learned with him. His father got some boys in the neighborhood to learn with him. It came to a point, his father said, he knows nothing about the way of the world. He hired a friend and said, don't learn Torah with him. Just talk to him, play with him. He needs to be a little bit aware of the world around him also. He was always at home, and he had a love of learning Torah. But at any rate, so that sort of set his path for life. The rest of his life, he never had an official, not never. He was a dayan in Bedina Gadol for a number of years. But besides those few years, he never had an official position. He wasn't a Rosh Yeshiva, he wasn't a dayan, he was nothing. He didn't have an official. So he learned literally hours on end alone. When he was in his Beit Midrash, people came and asked him questions, but he was just sitting there and learning. So Rabbi Yehuda Ades, who himself was a big Rosh Yeshiva, came to him and he said that I have this idea to sort of cut back all my public relations, not public relations as a word, public relations, and all my involvements with the public, people that ask you questions, just put it on hold for 5 years, and just dedicate myself to learning, get it finally. When am I going to truly I've been learning Torah, but truly to get into it, and one could say that I have totality of Torah. So he said he had this thing he wanted to do, and he wanted Eliashiv's opinion. So he said, don't do it. He said, and I did it, and it was mar mimavet. To learn alone and not to have a society for Rabbi Eliashiv was worse than death, he says. For Rabbi Eliashiv, and he was successful. He was the one in a million who did do it, and even he felt it's not normal. We humans are, as they call, social animals. We need a society. So that's why it's very, very important for ourselves and for our children. Very good. For ourselves and especially for our children to make sure what kind of group, chevra as they say in Hebrew, they hang around with, they socialize with. And that's what Rabbi Meir is saying. He's saying, make sure you go, and those whom you socialize with, those who you're friends with, those should be the right people. The right people. You have to go to a place where you could be now. Perhaps it was a time where the place was important. Nowadays, place is a smaller. Yes, you could go, I don't know, to Alaska and there are no Jews there. But most places that we do go, the option is who to socialize with. It's not a matter of place. Yeah, maybe a matter of neighborhood, but it's a matter of you really have to know those people who you and them will have a growing experience. You could have two people together and chas v'shalom they bring each other down. Whatever reason it is, it could be both of them are nice people also. It's just that they are not conducive to growth where they are next to each other. They may be very well people. Now these two same people, you put them with two other people, both groups become growing people. It has to be the right type of relationship, etc. So, don't say that this will happen to you. Don't ever rely only on your own understanding. Don't rely on your own understanding. Today's Daf Yomi. Nir, you've done today's Daf Yomi?
I'm back in Sukkah.
Okay, so today's Daf Yomi, one of the rabbis says something, and the other one says, wait a minute. Isn't it like this? Right? And he sort of points out to him that the information he had, although he wasn't lying, what he said, it was actually true, but he didn't have the full information and he wasn't correct. The conclusion he had made, and he wasn't right. So the other one gave him the missing information. So what does he say? Kari aleh tov shenayim min ha'echad. So the first rabbi is so happy, and he says tov shenayim min ha'echad. That's what Shlomo HaMelech means. Two people is always better than one. Because by myself, I would have remained in my mistake. With you, with my mistake. With you, I got better. Now I know something I didn't know yesterday. Now, this is a matter of the truth of the matter is. For one to realize, look, the goal is really for me not to be who I am. Not to be who I am. I am already here. What I know, I already know. I want to know better. This rabbi became so happy that he was proven wrong. Why? Because it means now I'm one step, or whatever you want to call it, better than yesterday. Now most of us, we don't like it when someone proves us wrong. But remember, Sefer Chassidim says if you were proven wrong, now you're a better person. If you have a conversation with somebody, if you have a disagreement with somebody, if you're proven right, you didn't gain anything from the conversation. He did. The one who is proven wrong is the one who grew. The one who's proven right. Okay, so you were talking to someone who's less smart than you. You helped him, but you yourself still were stagnant where you are. Yeah. The one who's at the being corrected is really the one growing.
Absolutely.
And this rabbi was such that we have to have that in our mind. We have to have that in our mind. Look, life is about growth. So what I found out a new piece of information now. Now, something that I thought is true, I see, well, it may be true, but it's much more far-reaching now. This Amorah had sort of adjusted his attitude. He was ecstatic. He couldn't contain his joy that he was proven. Why? Because it means now I know something better. Now, I don't know, maybe then it was easier than now. Like us is a madrega. People don't like to be proven wrong. So because he says literally, not that you should say wrong thing obviously, so in order to be proven wrong. But he says if you're proven wrong, that's a chance. That's a chance. That's an option. Yeah. You know what Rambam says, an unbelievable thing. Unbelievable. Listen to the depth of this. Listen to the depth of this. What is the worst Avirah a person could do, Rambam says?
Chilul Hashem.
Well, maybe it is Chilul Hashem, I don't know. But in one place, Rambam says, the worst thing a person could do is being with a non-Jew, intermarriage. So Rambam goes on to say why that is the worst thing, possible thing. He says worse than Avodah Zarah. He says one who does Avodah Zarah is not as bad as this. And he wants to say why. This, it doesn't have chiyuv mitah only b'shat maaseh like Pinchas. Only b'shat maaseh has chiyuv mitah. Later on, it may have whatever it is. But it has karet. Karet is midivei Kabbalah, but Avodah Zarah has karet, has chiyuv mitah. How is it? This is the worst thing a person could. Before I tell you the answer, I remember I was in yeshiva. I don't think I was married yet. I was in yeshiva, and a Kiruv organization brought, as a matter of fact, I think you were from Los Angeles. I was in Baltimore. They brought a group of, I don't know, one of these trips. They brought a group of college students on a trip to East Coast, and one of the stops was yeshiva in Israel. And they spoke. One of the rabbis, Rabbi Eisman, he should be he spoke to them. So he asked this person, was a very good kid. He seemed very, a thoughtful person, this and that. And he says, Rabbi, given all possibilities, the chances are, I'm not going to keep Torah. I'm not going to keep any other mitzvot. I'm interested. I'm not that committed. I don't think I'll be that committed. So why the insistence from everybody that I date and marry Jewish people? This is something I don't. I'm not. So in a way, I understand that it's better. That's what the kid was saying. It's better if I marry a non-Jew, then at least I will be the one who won't keep Torah. My children are never Jews to begin with. If I marry a Jewish girl, then my children will also be doing sin according to you. That was the question. Now, the question is, he didn't have a chip on his shoulder. He was really a good kid. He was a very, very, very nice person. Now the question is fair. It's a very good question. You would see him. And Rambam addresses this. So he says, now he's saying this is minus. He could have Jewish children who are doing sin 24/7. If he has non-Jewish children, the chances are they don't do the 7. They're not gonna steal. They're nice people. So they could have olam haba. If they're Jewish and they're bichlu Shabbat and already have so many karet in their life. That's what he was asking. He was asking a very, very fair question. Now here is the Rambam. The answer he gives is talking to this person. He's talking directly to that young student who's asked this question. He says, you know why it's worse? Because anybody that does something, okay, so for the moment you decide, he did Avodah Zarah, he did Chashav. But when somebody decides to marry a non-Jew, to end the line with him, he's saying, not only I'm not keeping Torah, I'm nowhere, I don't see any hope for myself or any of my children to ever get anywhere. And that's what the rabbi told him. He said, you presume to decide for your children that they won't. How do you know? And who gave you the right to make that decision? And that's the answer of the rabbi. The worst thing a person could do for himself is to say, I am at the peak and there is no more to go. I am the best I'm ever going to be. I cannot grow anymore. That's the worst thing you could do according to Rambam. He says, and that's when somebody decides, I intermarry. That means what? Okay, so I don't keep Torah. I'm not a spiritual person. I don't want to be close to God. Whatever he says. But why aren't you big enough to realize wherever you may be, tomorrow things may be different? 5 years down the line, you may have more understanding. Which one of us? Which ones? In our 20s, we think we're invincible and we know everything. When we're in our 20s, by the time we age 30, when we turn 30, we realize how childish we were. Which one of us don't laugh at ourselves, at our thoughts, at our ideas when you're 20? You're young. You can't blame ourselves. You're young. But the point is, at age 20, you think you know the best. There is nothing more you could. So we have to have seen enough and realized enough. Look, even if I don't get it now, it doesn't mean I will never get it. Don't close the door on yourself. All right, I don't get it now. I'm not going to do this. Don't close the door, though. I don't understand why I should. Don't close the door. Don't close the door. Don't close the door. Rabbi Weinberg of all the giants. May have said this here before. Shared with us once. There was a Bet Chadash, Sefer Bet Chadash says something in Hilchot Kivud Avoyim. I said this here. He said he didn't get it. What he says is really counterintuitive. It makes no sense. You read it and it makes no sense. I said, you read it many years ago, first time, and it doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. He said, every year, as I read, that piece of Gemara again, I opened Bet Chadash and learned it again. What is he talking about? I don't know if he used this word, but it was like ludicrous. It's nonsense what he says. So every year I opened it up again, and that year he was ecstatic. He was really ecstatic from joy and happiness. So he finally got it. Don't ask me what was the question and what was the answer. I don't remember. Right? But he said, look at it. It seems, it seems absurd. But he finally explained what he meant. And, beautiful idea, beautiful inspiration that he got from. Now, my point is not what Sefer Bet Chadash said, which was amazing. My point was, had he closed the door on himself, had he said after 2, 3, 4 times that he said, open the Sefer Bet Chadash, this is incomprehensible. Had he put the label incomprehensible there, then he would have never understood it. Had he said to himself, look, I am thinking the best I could never think better than this, and I'm not getting it, so that's the end of the story. This is incomprehensible. Look how much he would have lost. But because he left the door open, I don't understand it now. Who knows? Another idea, another thing. A person grows, a person changes. So right now, I'm not where I will be 2 years from now. But I have to be smart enough to realize that 2 years from now I'll be in a different place. And therefore, don't close the door. That's very, very important. Don't close the door. So therefore, al binatcha al tishayan. Don't ever say, my own mind will do. What do you mean? I by myself will be okay. You by yourself will be okay. Right? Other people will help you. Not you. There is room to grow. There is room to grow. Only my mind, only my understanding will take care of me. That's sort of closing the door. Let's see what Rambam has to tell us here. Amar Bakesh Makom HaKriya V'Limud. Rambam says that Mishnah is urging us to always find a place of Kriya V'Limud, place where we learn, place where we will study. Ki im zulatcha yitachen lecha kriya v'titkayem. Because when you are with another, when you have a society, a social life with those, then יתכן לך הקריירה תתקיים. It will be conducive, it will be successful. ולא תשאל על תאונתך, don't ever rely only on your own understanding. שלך צריך לחברים ותלמידים שלך. I don't need other friends, I don't need students in order to put me on the right path. I by myself is enough. You by yourself could never be with other, you could grow, other people could help you grow. Good, so that's mishna13.
یکم کانترادیکت میکنه. اول میگه نرید با جایی که مذهبی نیستن، بعدش میگه برو تو را یاد بده به کسایی که بلد نیستن. اگه نرید دنبال اونا چجوری میتونید برید؟ مثلا لوباویچ ها میرن کوشه خبا.
Yeah. So Chachamim say there has to be a minimum, and it has to be the right person. There has to be a minimum. You need to have a society. If right? Most Rabbanim say it won't be successful because it'll get burned out. Now, if you have a small community, you have 5, 6, 7 families that are together, connected together, and they impact. Okay, eventually things will grow. That's usually how it works. Usually, what works is that you become 2, 3, 4, 5 families, four they say minimum, together, couples. So you have the support. Ish lechavero yomar chazak. You have the support of each other. You have sort of the social thing. So then you could impact on others, and others will also eventually become part of your social thing. Then they will join you. You don't have to necessarily, be alone, sort of outside of the others' social network. That's how usually it's understood. Good.